lounging, son.
All right, welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name is Ryan.
And I'm Manny.
And as you can see, we're talking some old Spawn, talking issues 16, 17, 18. Not only is this written by Grant Morrison, which, by the way, this is the first time I've read these, was for this video. It's also the first time Greg Capullo is on Spawn.
Yes.
So interesting that Greg's first issue with 16 happened to be an issue written by Grant Morrison. I didn't even know Grant Morrison wrote Spawn up until I think I got a collection of the first 100 issues of Spawn in 2020. I bought a short box with all of them. So because obviously as a kid, I didn't get everything. And so I was able to pick up this run and flipping through just kind of some of the issues, and I saw Grant Morrison. I was like, get the fuck out of here, dude. I can't believe that they wrote a Spawn book in the ongoing. It's just random. And the promotion
I read Spawn when it was coming out, and I remember reading this issue as a kid, but I didn't realize until a few years ago that it was Grant Morrison either. I don't think I even knew who Grant Morrison was when I was reading.
Yeah, I don't think at this point in my reading, I was it was 93, so I'd only been and I say reading with air quotes, but
of course.
because I was young when I first started, but it's what taught me to read. But I definitely wasn't picking these up. These came a little bit later for me. I knew who Spawn was just from going to a comic store, but I don't think my mom was letting me buy them when I was that young either. So
great cover by Greg Capullo, man.
Fantastic. It's interesting to see where his art was and then where it goes later.
Yeah, he was coming off of X-Force, which I actually am I love Liefeld's X-Force. That's top tier X-Force, I also am a fan of what Capullo did when he came on the book. So I'm a Greg Capullo fan, and it's great to see this,
Yeah, I think I may have a couple issues, but I don't have some of those Capullo X-Force, which I definitely want to get. I want to call this out too, in memory of Max Gaines. This is something that most of the image creators did in the beginnings of their book, are in the inside covers. They would dedicate it to somebody, but I feel like Todd did it longer. He definitely had this dedicated in the memory of or dedicated. He would do it. So this one is in memory of. And
I love that old school Spawn title page, the uniformity of it, how they were always the same. Really great design on old Spawn.
So we open up and they're in this town. It's called Simmonsville, and it was created with Al Simmons' memories. So
with the psychoplasm, which is the substance that makes up the Spawn suit. Because a lot of people don't know the Spawn suit itself is alive. It's very much like a symbiote in a way,
Very much like a symbiote. Yeah, I don't think I didn't even know that until I don't even remember when I realized that, but it took a while for me. I went years even up into my 20s where I didn't remember that that's what it was, but it makes sense.
But I'm a big Spawn fan, man. I have a whole shelf of Spawn figures. I buy not really the side characters, but I buy the Spawn and then any kind of cool variation on Spawn. I'll show them to you sometime. I got a bunch of them.
Yeah, I love Spawn too. But again, I didn't get some of these when I was younger, so I had some trades. I had some issues, right, but I didn't have all of them. So it's been cool to kind of I've been slowly going through those first 100. I didn't want to power through it, but Morrison is really, you can feel Morrison in these scripts. He's definitely going for some different ideas. He's talking more about heaven and hell and angels and stuff. That's kind of.
And I'm wondering how much he added to the mythology, because those are very there's almost a vertical quality to what he's doing with heaven here. It reminded me of the way that heaven was portrayed in Preacher. Almost like a weird corporation and almost just as manipulative and as fucked up as hell.
Yeah, look at this soldier being dragged in too, and just the bump of the on the stair, and then the blood going in, and then you see Jason Wynn, who's the piece of shit that kind of sold.
He's one of the main villains of the early Image universe, And
it's weird, dude, because as we get through this issue, not to kind of go too fast, but I just wanted to briefly kind of go over these because I figured Spawn's a great book to read any time of year, but it is always a good
it's a good Halloween read.
Yeah, it is a good Halloween
season read. Yeah.
And I love this angle of Spawn on the roof. like it's definitely has McFarlane in there, but you're seeing Capullo just kind of unleashed.
Yes,
He ends up being, I think he's probably drawn more issues of Spawn than anybody,
yeah, man. I mean, he
right?
what he drew. I don't know what issue till he drew till, but yes, I would agree that he's definitely drawn more issues than anyone else.
Yeah. I mean,
You
he
know,
doesn't continue after this arc. I think Todd comes back, if I
but
remember
he comes
correctly.
back again.
But then Greg comes back with like issue 20 something, right? Like I don't think
Mm-hmm.
it's long before he comes back. And I think this is a great way to kind of like you give a little bit of like the history of or the origin of Al and Spawn in just a couple pages, right? Like, but
Yeah,
not much. Making a deal with, the devil got shafted all over again. Story of my friggin' life. I love that like inner narration too. I've always liked
yeah,
how it almost looks like it's on a piece of like old parchment paper.
yeah, and I'm glad that that is like a staple of Spawn.
Yeah.
I mean, he draws a great Spawn. I mean, honestly, my favorite Spawn artist is Todd. And like, going and reading these issues for the video, I was like flipping through the early ones again, and I was like, God damn, those early Spawns were fucking magnificent, you know.
Yeah.
But this is really good too, man. It's a different vibe, and like you can see the Greg Capullo that we have now starting to emerge here. You know, like because there was a change in Capullo's art from X Force to this. I think he tweaked the way he was drawing things a bit, but
Yeah.
he's really coming to his own on this.
It's interesting too. Dan Panosian art to bear on inks. But yeah, I've always loved this too about early Spawn, how he used to like hang out with the homeless people.
Yeah, I love that too, man. It makes me realize Spawn is like I wouldn't even really call it a superhero book. It's almost like a weird, quirky horror book because like it's not like Spawn is usually doing any big superhero battles. You know, it's usually some kind of a personal thing
Yeah.
or supernatural. Like Spawn's a unique book, man.
I would say he's kind of like an anti-hero.
Yeah, that's probably the better term for it.
Because he does like, I mean, he's not always fighting for other people. Sometimes he's just fighting for himself, kind of,
Yeah,
but he's
he
not
protects the
like,
homeless. Those are his boys. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
and
Like no
he's
one
not
messes with
hurting.
them.
He doesn't hurt good people either. But yeah, this is just, and then we get harkened back to like the whole Angela situation that happened in
Yeah.
issue 9. That's why I think it's weird. Like they made such a big deal about, Dave Sim. Oh, hold on. I don't want to start with him. They made such a huge deal about like Neil Gaiman, Frank Miller, coming and doing issues. And then they
Yeah.
had Dave Sim issue, but they didn't really like promote Grant Morrison. And he was already like a
I
big
mean,
name.
this is post Animal Man, right? So
Yeah, so I guess maybe he wasn't. I guess he got a little bit bigger later because like
yeah,
Vertigo hadn't really fully formed until '93,
yeah.
where it became its own imprint. But still, I would think Grant Morrison was somewhat of a big name. And then I like how like they're these angels, right? Who they don't even look very angelic at all. They
No.
actually look kind of evil, if I'm being
Yeah,
honest.
that's what I was saying about like the portrayal of heaven. Like,
Yeah.
it's definitely not really altruistic. Like heaven and hell both have an agenda.
And it's weird because like this is why it feels like very like Grant Morrison, like right, like
Hmm.
they're in this like orbital like satellite, and that's what these angels are doing, and they're gonna create this like thing to combat the Hellspawn. Who do they pick, dude? They pick fucking Jason Wynn. Like, are
Which
you
I
kidding?
had forgotten about
So
that,
did I.
or
I
maybe I didn't
forgot.
know. Like, because I mean, I know who Anti-Spawn is, and I think he eventually becomes renamed as Redeemer and slightly redesigned. But
Yeah,
I had no idea when I reread this that Jason Wynn was Anti-Spawn, and I'm like,
mhm.
that's actually a really cool idea.
It
And I
is.
want I wonder how much of that was Todd and how much it was Grant. Like, I'm really curious as to how much Grant brought his own like plot to it, or was he working off of ideas from Todd? Like, I'd love to find that stuff out.
I mean, look, Neil Gaiman created Angela.
Yeah,
I think he just kind of like let them do
that's what. Yeah,
what
he
they
gave him
wanted to
free
do.
reign. Yeah,
Yeah. But this is interesting too, is like Al's going to his grave, right? He's
I
like,
love these pages and the coloring, man. Like the purple of the sky, like the rain,
yeah,
the atmosphere of the graveyard.
yeah.
Like
And
this
it's
is like that's super Halloween right there. You know what I mean?
it
Like,
is. It is. And it's like he's coming upon his grave because he's like, I can't be there. Like I'm here, right? But then he sees his corpse and
what
this
a,
pain as he's holding his own skeleton.
it's
What
amazing, dude, and
what
it's
am I,
creepy.
God? Help me. What am I? What have you done to me? So he's like calling out to God when really he's like an agent of hell. So it's
Good
like
point, man. Yeah.
it's very interesting, and like it totally plays into this whole like heaven and hell aspect of Spawn that is there from the very beginning and continues to
Hmm.
be all the way into like we're almost at issue 350, which is
Yeah, and they're
crazy.
still talking about this war, because I read Spawn now. Like I usually sit on the books for a while and then read them 3 or 4 at a time, and they're still dealing with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, here we go. We get the transformation of Jason Wynn,
And
and he's in pain too, as he keeps saying like it
yeah, it's
hurts.
like
What
very
have you
body
done to me?
horror.
The elemental fire of heaven burns within you now. You're no longer living, no longer human. Rise up, be born again, soldier of the light, anti-spawn.
And dude, I love the design of Anti-Spawn. I know it's super 90s, man, but like I think it's awesome.
I like the Redeemer costume a little
I do
bit
too.
better,
I have the
but
Redeemer figure.
this feels more like an actual inversion of the
Of the
Spawn
character.
costume,
Yeah.
So it's really cool. Quick shout out before we get to the next issue. I love the image info and the fucking ads and seeing what was coming out back then.
Dude, yeah.
And then
I
we
have the omnibus, so I don't have that, but like
yeah get a pinup
I,
by Brad Gorby, get a Don Simpson fucking pinup, which is kind of weird. We get some cool letters pages. We get the fan art, which I'll just skip all that because like I looked at the names and I don't recognize any of them. Get a Max ad, a Wizard ad, and obviously like on the back of all three of these issues is this Miller
yeah.
McFarlane with the Spawn logo and the Batman logo. And
That was such hype back then, man.
so now we will jump into the next issue, issue 17, another great cover by
Yeah.
Capullo.
I
I
love
love
that opening image, man.
In memory of Ross Andrews. See, we get another one. And yeah, dude, I love this interaction between Malbolgia and Spawn, and like he just doesn't give a shit about Al. Just seeing this is like, oh, you I hope it hurts. You've learned that the body you currently wear is not your earthly body, which lies decaying in this grave. Now let me show you something, my little hell Spawn. It may bring you understanding and me a moment's sport. Just like toying with this motherfucker, dude. And
That's Grant Morrison writing.
yeah, it's just phenomenal. These are like there's so much going on in these pages, but it doesn't feel like super bogged down by all the reading. Because sometimes like when you see like this much text, you're like, oh my god. But it's really painting this picture of like what's happening to him. And again, like not saying the origin of Spawn, but you're giving the backstory. So like you could jump into this issue having not read the first one
Mm-hmm.
or any issue before that. And I think Grant does a great job of doing that. And this, oh, love this, dude. I love how they're shooting anti-spawn back down from like, I mean, it's not heaven, but it's like up above. So it's like a heaven satellite, if you will. And it's just like it reminds me of like Zoriel, the character that Grant Morrison created,
Yes, yes.
and how he looked at heaven really different in that aspect. But this is another great panel by Capullo, just showing the pain that Al Simmons is going through, and then you get this. That's a very 90s image.
Oh yeah, man. Like just a full page spread, and like look at the muscles and the quads and stuff
Yeah,
on this,
this
man.
is the least I've ever hated the newscasters. Usually I can't stand those pages and I almost want to like turn the page, but it's only two here and it's talking about like Jason Wynn going disappeared, and then like we're talking about the ties with Youngblood, and then Al's mentioned on the news and Wanda hears that, right, and she's with Terry, and he's like, oh, it's nothing. And you could see that like she still cares, she still misses him, and like she almost feels his presence because he has been watching over her basically since he's come back from the dead. And then we get this. I love that how his face for the most part with a mask is off is always in shadow, almost
Yeah.
every single time. Like you do see his face, like I guess what do they called it, hamburger face. I've heard people
Yeah.
refer to it as, but for the most part, it's always in shadow.
I like it. I like that
Yeah,
too. And it might be a shortcut, but I think it's also like atmospheric and
yeah,
adds a lot to the character. And
yeah,
I like some of these panel borders that Capullo's drawing, like he's experimenting with the page. And I love
yeah.
that image of Spawn like crashing
Coming
through
through
the
the
glass.
glass, yeah, it's
I
really
mean,
good.
just like the look at the way he draws the shards of glass and how you can kind of see the color through them, and like the light being kind of refracted. Like It's really dope, man.
I like these like
That's what
shadow demons coming upon him, and
this is a fun fight, man.
yeah, and they're like, oh, we're gonna remove his costume. Like one would be bonded to his nervous system, and then isn't it? So this is where we find out, right, that it's a
Yeah,
symbiote.
that's a lot. I don't
Yeah,
remember it being mentioned
I
before.
don't either because I read the first 15 issues like not that long ago, so I don't remember them talking about it. So it definitely feels like something maybe Grant added, maybe Todd wanted it added. Who knows? I would really love to find out like the way it broke down when he had people guest writing, especially I don't I like obviously now you always see story by Todd McFarlane and then whoever's writing the book. Like he obviously has like a hand in all that stuff. But I wonder like back then when these writers guested and did their issues. And I'd imagine I think that's why he was off the book, right? For this arc was because he was working on Batman Spawn.
Yes, I think so because I mean, I know it came out very shortly, and some of the issues after this already had the football face. You know, where Spawn has like
Oh yeah, the
the
stitching across
the stitching across. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, I love this too. Like this fucking soldier, Major Vale. Obviously, we find he has a connection with Al as well, and it's just weird that they're watching this like this town, but it's like on a screen, so it's like it's a portal to hell, but it's on Earth. Like that's where I was kind of confused. I can't tell. Like, is it on Earth? To
I'm
your
not
like, what
sure.
do you think?
Yeah,
It's hard. It's hard. It doesn't really like specify. Not that it's important, but like it's also weird that his memories have created this own hell on Earth. I love this too. The glowing of the opposing forces, like anti-Spawn has like this like heavenly light, while Spawn has this glowing green.
and I love this idea like when Spawn teleports, it like the teleportation is like painful. And I love this line. He's like, "I'm never gonna believe anything I see on Star Trek again.
I knew you were
Teleportation
gonna call
hurts."
that. I knew you were gonna call
Yeah,
that out.
yeah, of course
Yeah.
I was, man.
I read that last night. I was like, I bet money Manny says something about that line. But I love it too. He comes back and he's back in like right by his homeless peeps, you know? And
Yeah,
dude, these pages are just they're so great. And it's interesting that Spawn can bleed too, because if he's not really his own body, like what is he, you know?
yeah. I'm wondering if like his whole body is
Yeah.
psychoplasm, you know, and like it's just, you know, like it's. I want to go back and start rereading from Spawn. I think because this has gotten me interested.
I'm probably gonna continue on with this.
Yeah,
Kind
I
of
think
like
so too.
kind of like when we read Lock and Key and I read all 6 volumes over
Yeah,
the
yeah.
rest of the week.
I'm almost done with volume three. I think I'm probably gonna finish that before the week is
Yeah.
over.
But it's also crazy too, because like I mentioned that Al bleeds, but right here it's his costume that's bleeding and moaning because it's
And
alive. And
quick thing, I love that image of anti-spawn too. Like
oh
you know, like
yeah,
there's almost
it's
something
fantastic.
Kirby-esque about it too. The way he's
Mhm.
coming and
Coming
like the
at us,
crackle.
yeah.
Yeah,
This is great too, as he blasts through his like from his
yeah,
visor. Just fucking great. And he's standing over Spawn. I love that too. Again, more of
yeah.
the image stuff in the back. This isn't credited, this double page pinup, letters, fan art, some more ads for other books, Savage Dragon, Bloodstrike. Interesting, this wizard ad that has that the the jam cover by Todd and Frank. And then we get the Sin City ad, which obviously that I'm sure that was part of him getting Frank to do the stories. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
why
interesting. Yeah,
don't
because
you
that
throw
is
an ad for me in there, you know?
yeah,
And then we get the final part of this 3-part storyline by Grant and Greg Capullo. This time is
great cover again. Yeah,
yeah, this time it's dedicated to Dick Ayers. And now, you know, like a little bit of a backstory on one of the homeless guys on that first page, and then another one. Look at this fucking standing over him, dude. It's cool that they chose to make the anti-spawn the guy that's responsible for Al dying. I mean, we didn't even really mention the
yeah.
fact that it
That's true, man. And then, like, and now he's also trying to kill him as Spawn. You know, so
yeah.
he's like, he's gonna try. He's trying to murder the dude twice, man.
Did you read that in Todd's voice? That's enough, bud.
Yeah, like I was kind of going for
I
it.
was like, when I read that, I'm like, I don't think I've even ever heard or read a panel or a bubble with Bud come from Grant Morrison. But like,
I think I've
just
been listening to too much observations.
yeah, probably yeah. That's enough, Bud. You know, like
He
that's what
does.
I read it as.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, just like this is amazing too. Like now we're getting like almost full pages of this battle between them. Whereas
you're
before
right.
we were
Yeah.
getting smaller panels, like now it's just like full force. You got this him blasting the anti-spawn. To me, this has to be the issue that probably Greg enjoyed doing the most. I'm
Yeah.
just guessing, but there's so much fighting going on like this. It punches him through the fucking head. Welcome to the real
Yeah,
world,
man.
bastard. Have a nice day.
It's
Amazing.
a great fight, man. Really, really energetic, and like Capullo's art is shining. I mean, like you said, it seems like on this issue he's having such a great time.
Yeah. And look, Spawn takes him out pretty easily in this issue. I mean, we're not even halfway through, and he's now being brought back to heaven and begging them to like no more, please, like let him go. And it just,
Yeah,
so now he's kind of getting a taste of what Al's been dealing with. And then I don't know who this guy is, but I
I
mean,
don't
like,
remember either. I mean, I remember Cagliostro,
yeah,
and
same. So I was like, I don't remember this dude coming up to him, but like talking that there's more than just there's more players in the game than just heaven and hell, right?
mhm.
And then he just gives him a card that's blank. We'll be in touch.
Yeah,
And
I didn't realize how much mythology setup is being done in these issues. Which
yeah,
is interesting that it was issues that he brought Grant along with. I mean, I'm sure Todd had a good idea of where he wanted his story to go, and he probably had outlines.
yeah,
So I'm sure that Morrison had some of that, but it seems to me like Morrison came in at a pivotal point in Spawn, and like even though it's only 3 issues he wrote, it seems like a lot of stuff was brought in these 3 issues.
yeah. And now we okay. So I forgot that part. So it is a doorway to hell that he's
Yeah,
going to, and he's going to Nevada. I love when Spawn's like fucking just got like all these bullets draped upon him and the
dude,
fucking guns.
I love a Spawn that's gunned up, man. Like
Yeah,
I want them to. I think they did make a figure like that, and I need to get it because
they
I love
did.
it when he's gunned up. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, and I love that he's like interacting with this like Major Veil and he's like, you won't remember me, but I remember you. You and
Dude,
Jason
and then
Wynn
he
were cut from the
shoots him
same
through the
cloth.
fucking eye,
Oh
bro.
god, dude, yes.
That was so fucking good, man. And I'm like, dude, I don't remember. Like that is pretty hardcore, even for an
Yeah.
image comp. Like
No, it's great, dude.
yeah,
I love this too. Like he's has this scene where he's looking at Wanda, which was like the best day in his life. And I love the way he collapses it. So he talks about I used my mind to collapse the entire scene, shaping the psychoplasm into a more manageable form. And you
that's such a
see,
Grant Morrison thing too. Like
yeah,
that to me is like that is quintessential Grant Morrison. Like the idea of like being able to sort of like physically create something that is a memory. Like those kind of ideas are things that I always associate with Grant, and like I love seeing that little detail
yeah.
in here.
And then he's like, "Oh, I'll put it." So he transforms it and puts it somewhere safe. What does he do? Like this is great,
It's
dude.
heartbreaking.
He goes to Wanda and he basically like it's like blowing a kiss almost. I mean, he doesn't do that,
Mm-hmm.
but it's almost
Mm-hmm.
like that, and he like lets the memory go, and you can see the tears roll down, and him just like sitting there in pain. I love you, and that's how we end the issue basically with, and then
And
with this like
that. What a great image of Spawn there. Like that's a
yeah,
fantastic image, man.
it's
And like
it's fucking
I'd
great.
love to have that as a print.
Hell yeah, dude. Okay, real quick before we wrap this up. Todd fucking sponsored a kids hockey team and they're wearing Spawn jerseys, dude.
Dude,
They
can you
were
imagine being a kid and playing in that hockey team?
I know
Like,
they were called the Redford Mites Spawn hockey team, dude. 6 to 9 year olds. 6 to 9. This is
how?
the reason. This is the reason you buy single issues. But for
Yes,
everybody
correct.
listening and watching, you buy them for this kind of shit that you can't get in the collected editions. Because I
No,
never saw that picture, and I can't imagine what the parents of these kids like. Spawn, a fucking like agent of hell, is on the. I mean, it's only the Spawn logo, but still, it's hilarious, dude. Get a couple pinups in the back. Again, some great letters pages, and more fan art, and then a
how
few
about that
ads.
jacket, bro?
Oh yeah,
I
dude.
would I would rock that jacket today, man.
I know you would. I'd probably rock
Yeah,
it too.
yeah,
But yes, another ad for Wizard, and we get some
yeah.
some con ads. And again, once like they are fucking building this up, dude. Look at that.
The
March of
best thing is only
'94.
$3.95. That book would be fucking $10 today. Like
It was $10 the last
you're
spot.
right. Yeah,
So
you're right.
yeah, so like it was fun, dude. Obviously, like you can hear it in our voices. We're
Yeah,
definitely gonna be probably doing some more Spawn. coming up. I don't
Yeah,
know when, maybe not for this month for October, but we definitely will be doing more on the channel.
I would
And
love to continue, man. That shit was a lot of fun.
yeah, so make sure you check out the rest of the, I created a playlist with all the Halloween themed stuff for the month of October. Go check it out, stick with us, and we're going to be doing some more awesome content for this month. Definitely going to hit some Spawn back up again, and make sure you like, follow, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you're notified every time a new vid drops. And on that note, I'm out.
Catch you next time, guys.